Inflation is hitting hard. Gas prices, food prices, rent, utility bills, every single thing about society that we all depend on to have a decent standard of living for ourselves is getting beyond reach of the average person. I mean, it was already beyond reach of the average person in a lot of respects anyway, but now it's to the point where something has to be done or society collapses. It's getting that bad. Still, this is not anything close to what the Germans went through in the 1920s and early 30s. You know, Hitler seized power January 30th in 1933. And I'll tell you something. If nothing is done about Donald Trump or his supporters, and he's allowed to run again in 2024 and he wins, and this continues, he will successfully become a dictator. Now, the thing about capitalism is it's very unstable by its nature. So it starts off with, of course, a simple matter of trade, right? Products. Someone makes them. They want to earn money. Okay, they make it to sell. They set the price. So the consumer has to pay that price. And then they buy it, and soon demand goes up. They need more income to be able to produce more. And the price goes up. More people want to buy it. But that means that the people who have to buy it now all have to pay more than the initial buyers did before they had to expand production. And then, of course, you have to just multiply that. More workers, more expansion, more materials, higher prices, just to meet the same profit margin as before. But what we have in this country is corporate greed. And that means that profit margins dictate everything. And profit margins are arbitrarily determined by those who own the means of production. So instead of, say, 5% profit margin for the owner, with all this stuff, I want to increase that to maybe 20% profit margin. Wow. That's 15% addition to what it cost originally. And that's not even counting for any kind of natural inflation due to like what we're dealing with now. Any kind of supply shortage or supply chain disruptions. You know? 60% of all inflation is due to corporate price gouging. So what they're doing here is pretty simple. We either got to expand production or we have to limit production because of the supply chain issue. There's limited. But we personally just want to make more money for ourselves. So we're going to arbitrarily make these arguments that, we're having all these issues that we're really not having just to increase our once 5%, now 20% profit margins up to 70% profit margins. Just because they can. So now, and I'm making some of these numbers up, by the way, something that initially cost you maybe $2.50 now will eventually cost you like $3.25, and now will cost you $7.89. Oh wait, inflation's even higher now. And they want, instead of 70% profit margins, they want 90% profit margins. Okay, now it's going to cost you $9.99 when it originally cost you $2.50. You see the problem here? This is a system with no rhyme or reason. Capitalism has no rhyme or reason beyond the basics of trading for goods and services. That's it. The ownership of the means of production is key to a stable economy. The more collective ownership you have of the means of production, the more stable prices are likely to be. That's why you're starting to hear more now and now people saying, we want big oil to be nationalized. Who the fuck wants to pay $6, $7, $10 a gallon? Who's going to stand for that? Now, of course, the monopolies on these, fossil fuel companies are going to go, the peasants would pay anything because they'll have no choice. That's why they do it, because they can. So it's a good thing that Biden, of course, enacted the Emergency Defense Production Act, whatever that is, so that we can have more green energy options. Good. But that's not going to stop the fossil fuel industry from price gouging everybody, because they'll know people have no choice. We have to nationalize big oil. We're at that point. Big pharma, big oil, those two industries must be fully nationalized. 100%, no questions asked, no exceptions, full nationalization. That's the only way to get the prices down to what they could otherwise be when you eliminate the corporate greed. But now you run into the issue in the current system, of rent on average in expensive cities is now over $3,000 a month. In inexpensive places that used to be inexpensive, rent is now over $2,000 a month. Wages, while average pay is going up slightly, the buying power has gone down. Purchasing power has gone down by about 3%. So it doesn't matter what kind of raise you have now. They're just going to raise prices because you're making more money now. That's a catch-22 with capitalism. This is why we need more collective ownership of the means of production to keep this from happening. And now you come into a situation with the private ownership of the means of production. Oh yeah, we want $15 an hour minimum wage. Okay, we'll raise our prices. But now we need $20. Okay, we'll raise them even more. Okay, we'll raise them even more. Now we need, like Rebecca Parsons says, $30 an hour. Okay, we'll just raise prices even more. You see what's going on here? What you have to have now is price controls. And in a capitalist system, the way we have it set up in this country, government can't set price controls. Supreme Court said, the government can't set price controls. This is bullshit. The government absolutely can set price controls. But now that we have a 6-3 majority conservative Supreme Court, any kind of price controls they put in place are going to get struck down. There has to be something that we as people can do, maybe have like a civilian commission to kind of fight these corporations and keep prices in check as much as possible. I don't know how that would actually work, but all I know is the situation can't continue the way it is because we are headed down the path of destruction faster than we think. I mean, this system does not make sense. It's something where because of the way they bribe the government and the way the government is nothing more than a lapdog to big business, they can move the goalposts however they want, and consumers and workers just have to keep trying to move the goalposts along with them. But the owners have the advantage because they already have all the capital and therefore all the leverage and all the power. Something's got to be done, guys. I don't know what we can do, but we got to get something done soon or this society will collapse and we'll end up with a fascist regime. And the sole reward for letting them get into power might be at the most a kind of leveling off of inflation. But wages would remain the same, basically. That would be as far as they would be willing to go. We need drastic change, and we need it soon. Otherwise, this country is doomed. And all of us who are against the regime that gets into power, the Trump regime, whoever it is, could all be targeted for extermination. You think I'm kidding? Follow this through to its logical conclusion. Look at Germany. Look at Cambodia. Look at China. Look at North Korea. Look at Rwanda. Look at all the places where tensions were strained to the breaking point, and when things got out of hand, people just started killing each other. And it was usually a lopsided massacre by the most authoritarian of the sides. Do we want that to happen here? I don't. The best thing to do is to get rid of capitalism and replace it with something that serves everybody rather than just the greedy few. We have no choice now. It's either that or we're going to have to fight like hell, as Trump once put it, just to stay alive. It's either the prices are going to kill us because we can't afford anything, or Trump and his brown shirts are going to hunt down everyone they disagree with and kill them to minimize the population, both for ideological reasons and to preserve the integrity of capitalism. It's an ugly situation. This inflation must be kept in check. It has to be brought back down. The Biden administration has got to do way more than they're doing. Congress has to do way more than they're doing. But we all know they're not going to. Because they don't want to. They like this. Because they have private individual stocks that they own. They're making out like bandits. We the people have to do something. And we got to do it soon, or we're all finished.